Welcome to the Retro Video Store Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the Retro Video Store Podcast. I'm your host, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
And that's my co-host, Neil.
I'm Neil. And who is not with us? My axe.
That would be David. He's driving around the South. I think he's going to Georgia, I guess. I don't remember, or Alabama. One of the,
It's in the South.
Yes.
But more importantly, I think you owe it to all four of the people that listen to this where the hell we were last week.
Yeah, apologize to everybody. We didn't have an episode last week because I was sick, pretty sick. I haven't had a long-term, like, winter cold like that in a long time, and I sounded like Gollum for a better part of like a week, so I couldn't do the podcast unless you wanted me to go. I can't even do a Gollum impersonation because it would make my voice go. Gollum. Yeah, that would have sounded really bad. So
you
nobody wants to hear that.
You've got to teach me how to log on and get all this shit done. So I could have done a solo.
Neil's musings.
Yes, I could have mused. I could have mused about something.
Mm-hmm.
I would muse. People would be amused.
Then I could have just typed in. You could have said, "This is what Eric says," or "Eric says this."
Yeah, Eric has this to say.
Yeah.
And then I may or may not throw it in, depending, on my opinion of what you had to say. A little more creative control for me.
But speaking of Gollum, we're going to be talking about The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers from 2002, part of Fantasy February. Fantasy February is going to be cut short, so I'm only going to do three movies. Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, Dragon Slayer, and then The Return of the King, and then we'll be moving on to different things. And we had planned to do Princess Mononoke, but we'll probably do that later in the summer. Do a little anime action.
I really hope Dragon Slayer is good. I have fond memories of Dragon Slayer, and I pray it's good.
I remember the special effects being really, really good, but I don't really remember much about it at all. So it's going to be a gamble.
Oh, I remember all about it. I had the Marvel comic book adaptation, went and saw it, enjoyed it. Please be as good as I remember.
So before we jump into Middle Earth, let's do what we always do. Neil, what did you watch during this 2-week break?
A shit ton, but due to familial stress and some things that have happened in my family lately, I just was overwhelmed, and I don't remember really anything. The only thing, because we spoke before this, obviously, the only thing I had a clear memory of watching was Heretic, and because I was texting you while I was watching it.
That was the Hugh Grant movie, right?
Yes, it's good.
Liked it.
It's good. I mean, it's obvious. It's very, very obvious. But Studio A24 is turning out some good shit.
They are reliable.
I've been enjoying the hell out of it. But that's all I can remember. I know I've watched like a butt ton of TV. I've watched, I started watching some old Star Trek, like series stuff. But as far as like movies, that's the only thing I can really remember that I watched. But I know you, sir, were homesick and watched a shit ton of stuff.
Oh my God. I watched a ton of movies, movie documentaries, and just in general, just a lot of movies. That's what I do when I'm sick. I just veg on the couch and watch movies. And this is kind of a segue. We got 2 shout outs this week. One to Jason R., a longtime fan. He sent an email saying that he really enjoyed our Buckaroo Banzai episode. So thank you, Jason, for listening. So
yes, thanks, Jason. I would have loved to have read it, but Eric chooses not to share that because apparently
it was
he
just
wants
right
all that
before,
to himself.
just right before I logged. Always right before we start recording. I'll just check it just in case we got some fan mail. And lo and behold, we had it.
You just go right up to the little thing that says forward, and you click that, and you type in my email address.
I'm sorry. I'll take accountability for that. That was bad.
Yeah. So, Jason, I don't know what you said, dude, but I appreciate it because Eric is he's a selfish prick.
I am. Sorry.
All right. Way to go.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, I'll blame it on the cold medicine.
And believe it or not, we have a female listener,
That poor woman.
and she's a friend, new friend. Her name's Jessica. She's super cool, and she recommended a horror movie from the 80s that I have never seen.
What is it?
It's called The Final Terror.
The Final Terror.
Yes.
Dude, okay. I'm looking
Look
this
it up and
right
see
now.
if you have seen this one. It
Okay.
is it's kind of a cross between a Hills Have Eyes backwoods survival movie and kind of a camp slasher. And it's got a lot of people who went on to do bigger things later, but it was kind of made during the slasher boom of like 1980, 81, but didn't get released until Daryl Hannah became famous with Blade Runner. So it didn't really get released until like 82. But it's got...
I'm looking at this. I do not remember it like at all.
So do you remember Mark Metcalf? He played Niedermeyer in Animal House. He was also the bad guy in Buffy the Vampire Slayer one season. He was also the guy in the Twisted Sister videos. What are you gonna do with your life? Well, he's like the head of this group of Forest Service people, and they're supposed to go out and clear all this wooded area, but they decided to be horny guys and take their girlfriends with them to go camping. And of course, there's a legend in the woods about this lady or a person who's a killer out in the woods. And one of the fellow members of their camp may or may not be a killer as well. And it's just kind of different. I wouldn't say it's a great slasher movie, but I will say that was a movie I have not seen. And I thought I have seen every slasher movie that the 80s had to offer, but I did not see that.
Well, it's got Lewis Smith in it, so Perfect Tommy from Buckaroo Banzai's in
Yes,
there.
Perfect Tommy, isn't this?
Perfect Tommy. Oh, dude, okay. So I've got to tell you, I sent you a picture of it. So the guy who wrote Buckaroo Banzai, of course, they never made the next movie, but he did write a book, and we did talk about that.
Yeah, yes.
I did get the book, and I have been reading it, and it reads like the movie. So
okay.
I was not really sure about the guy's writing style when I first started it, but then as I started reading, it's really hard to explain. As I started reading it, it was like watching the movie. Just the way he's a wordsmith. There we go. Mm-hmm. Fuck you, Kanye. This guy's a wordsmith. so much damn fun to read. And it's a thick one. I've gotten maybe halfway into it, and it is outstanding. You really need to get on Amazon and order yourself a copy of this. Are you like in between sports seasons? You might actually have time to read.
Yes, the football season is ending on Sunday, so I will have a lot more free time to watch more movies and actually read, maybe do some reading.
Okay. I highly recommend it. Look at all the wonderful bonding that Jessica has helped us have.
Yes.
Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't read your fucking email either. Nobody told me anything about that.
Oh, she told me personally.
Oh, Jessica, I'm so sorry. Eric.
But
you can do better. You can do better for yourself. You can. I almost said young lady, but I have no idea how old Jessica is. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming younger than me.
And me.
Oh, I see how it is in their family.
But it was actually pretty good. It was a movie I had never seen before, and it's actually kind of got a cult following just because Daryl Hannah's in it and Rachel Ward. And
where'd you watch it? What's it?
It was on Pluto, of course, and it's on Shudder.
Pluto.
But it was on Pluto, and it doesn't have very many kills. So they had to add 2 extra kills at the beginning of the movie in post-production because they're like, shit, we don't really have that many kills. So they had to add some in the movie. And yeah.
And that's like one of your prerequisites for watching a movie like that.
Yeah. More kills. Yeah. Gotta have some kills.
More kills. Yeah.
Yeah, not bad. But also I watched The Hobbit, the Rankin and Bass Hobbit movie.
I did too. I watched all the animated ones. Now that you said that,
yes.
I remember
I watched both. I didn't see the Ralph Bashki. I didn't watch the Ralph Bashki one.
I
because it's all
watched them.
rotoscoped and hippy dippy. I didn't see that
Oh,
one,
but
but
the rotoscope is not as good, man. But I got to tell you, the Return of the King, the fucking animation on that, the Gandalf
oh,
is
I love
so
the
good.
Return of the King. It is so good. I love that one, and that's why I'm glad you saw it too, because I wanted to talk about it, and we'll probably talk about it when we talk about the Return of the King. But I was reading about Rankin and Bass when they did the production, and part of the studio was a Japanese studio that helped them that became Studio Ghibli later. So you can kind of see the super details in the
Yep.
still paintings and in the look of like Eowyn in particular. She has a kind of an anime look about her. I love the voices. Holy shit, I love the voices. John Huston as Gandalf is
Gandalf,
just
yeah.
amazing. Yeah, and then you got like Casey Kasem is Merry, and Roddy McDowell is Pippin or Sam.
Yeah, I didn't
Roddy
like
McDowell is Sam.
the Nazgul. I didn't really care for.
Oh God, I loved it.
You like the
No
voices?
man can slay me. He sounded like somebody from the Justice League, one of one of the bad guys. You know, John Stevenson was the name of the guy who did the Lord of the Nazgul, but John Freeze did Elrond, and he's definitely a famous voice actor. Yeah, just so good. Orson Bean is Bilbo. I loved all those songs. Down, 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 down.
Those guys,
Frodo of the Nine Fingers.
those guys messed me up as a kid, man. Especially when we were watching on TV and they paused right before, like he's got his mouth wide open, and you're like, no,
the cat-like eyes,
yeah,
and the big mouths and stuff like that. Yeah, that was fucking awesome. That's all we had when we were kids. 1977 on a repeat. That's what we had is The Hobbit, and then The Return of the King came out in '80. And I distinctly remember just begging my grandma, I've got to see this. This is when it was only on one once. She never knew when it was going to come on again. And she let me watch the TV in the living room by myself and watch The Return of the King. And it just is etched on my brain.
I watched it with my mom. Oh, and speaking of which, while you were watching movies, I went out and I did cool stuff. I went and got tattoos.
Nice.
Yeah. I went and got a couple new tattoos because tattoos are cool.
All right. Yeah, you were showing them to me before we started recording. I like them.
I didn't show you the one I got on my lower back. I got one on my lower back too. It says "Daddy's Girl."
Oh,
that one may be a mistake. My wife was complaining about that. She goes, "Well, apparently tattoos just pop up all over you now." And I'm like, I'm not going to Japan anymore to do any martial arts. So if I can get all the tattoos I want, let's go get a tattoo. Let's get an RVS tattoo. You and me. What do you say?
A little videotape RVS thing. It's like the new logo. I like the new logo a lot. It's really good. Thank you for that one.
Oh, so I was going to wait. Totally aside. So I found a company that I can just put the thing in and then send you a link to it, and then you can just pick your size and order.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I was going to talk to you guys about that, but got a little sidetracked during these last 2 weeks. Getting tattoos, doing awesome stuff, having beverages.
Little whiskey ASMR there.
Mm-hmm. Delicious. Should we talk about this bad motherfucker of a movie?
Yeah, The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. I feel like it's the least seen of them because it's the middle chapter, but there's a lot to like about it. There's a lot of cool stuff in the movie that I enjoy. And
did you watch the regular or did you watch the extended?
Just the regular. I didn't feel like watching the extended.
The extended puts in so much more stuff from the books.
Yeah, the extendeds are good, but man, they are a watch.
It's a lot. Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to hit us with the Internet Movie Database tagline?
While Frodo and Sam edge closer to Mordor with the help of
Edge. Share the load. Anyway.
I was wondering when that was going to come in. I'd put that in my back pocket. I was going to do that. You fucking blew it early. Oh, not the first time.
Blew the load early.
With the help of the shifty Gollum, the divided fellowship makes a stand against Sauron's new enemy Saruman and his hordes of Isengard.
So, if I remember correctly from the books, that Saruman and Sauron weren't really allies, that Sauron was a little bit wary that Saruman would try to usurp him as well, but they
Mhm.
were allies of convenience.
Yep.
So, yeah. Once again, directed by Peter Jackson, screenplay by Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, Philippa Boyens, and Stephen Sinclair. They did a really good job with the adaptation for the movies. There are certain things that happen over and over again in the movies that drive me crazy, especially if you watch them like sequentially. You're just like, how many fake out deaths do we need? just a few. Budget of $94 million, box office of $954 million. So
Small profit.
yeah, small profit for the Lord of the Rings. I was a huge fan of these movies when they first came out. The books I was a fan of as a kid, and then I read them again before the movies came out because I wanted to just kind of get caught up on it. And I remember you were a big fan of the books when we were younger.
Oh yeah, loved them. And I just, not to do with nothing, I really just want to say, there's no chance Peter Jackson will ever hear this, but Mr. Jackson, if somebody that knows you wants to relay this to you, thank you in all these movies for never once having Tom Bombadil. I appreciate you.
No ring-a-ding
much.
Delios with Goldberry, his wife.
Nope. Thank you so much for not doing that. Appreciate it. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm not like a Stephen Colbert kind of fan, but there was no need for Tom Bombadil, and
yeah,
our boy came through for us right there.
It's just like in the adaptation of The Hobbit, the animated one, they don't talk about the Arkenstone. They get rid of all that kind of stuff like that, and the movie is better for it. I prefer the 77-minute animated Hobbit over the entire three Hobbit movies. I guess I don't know. Just that was just too much.
Yeah, they took some liberties.
Yeah, what the hell's Legolas doing running around and
yeah.
What the
hell was going on with that? Although, come on, Smaug was pretty badass.
Yeah,
that was pretty epic. And then just rounding it off with all like the epic action and stuff. Like I know why they did it, but I don't think all of it was necessary. But there it is.
Maybe 2 movies, not 3. But
yeah.
I mean, everything looked great, and the special effects and the creatures, and everything were really, really awesome. It's just I have not watched it again after seeing it in the theater. I've never felt the need to see it again. I remember going to the theater and watching the Hobbit, and it was in a high frame rate theater. Did you ever remember when that was a thing where they shot it and it looked really too glossy and real looking? It was yeah, that was not good.
So speaking of that's one of my big gripes. I kind of want, if I'm watching a movie, I want it to look movie-like.
Yeah.
If I'm watching theater, yeah, I'm looking at real people. Because oddly enough, fuck you, I do go to the theater. However, there was a TV, and I can't remember who made it. We have this big electronics chain out here that's now defunct, and they had this TV that was such a high quality TV, and like a Blu-ray on steroids. I remember watching it, going in and seeing to Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like you just looked like you were standing in the room with all those people. And I'm like, that really kind of takes the moviness out of it for me.
Yeah. I always take that off when I get a new TV, when it comes to that, the motion blurring effect or whatever. I make it go for the film look immediately, because I hate when it's all super, super glossy looking and fake.
Yeah. Not a big fan. When I'm going to see a movie, I want it to look like a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I am escaping reality for a reason. Please help a brother out.
Yeah. Let's talk about the cast. You get Elijah Wood as Frodo, a young hobbit sent on a quest to destroy the One Ring, the burden of which is becoming heavier.
Did you chat GPT this?
No.
Really? You wrote this?
No, this is taken from Wikipedia. Didn't have that much time.
I'm like, wow, damn, dude, you really okay?
Yeah. The my opinion, and for good or bad, is that I find the Frodo, Sam, Gollum quest storyline to be the most tiresome of the movies. Especially in Return of the King, I was like, I just want to see the big battles and stuff like that. I don't want to see Frodo be a dick to Sam. After Sam, Sam is the true MVP for literally carrying Frodo's ass up and down, up and down to Mordor. That sexual tension is high. And this one,
you know what? Maybe you're just reading a little bit more into it than is actually there.
Yeah, I am. Maybe I'm just being mean. They're just more gentle, affectionate people than what I used to. There's no Hispanic stoicism in Hobbiton. You gotta act all hard and say you can't let him know you love him. You can't tell Frodo and Sam that he's your boy.
I would like to assure all of our listeners that Eric is actually half Hispanic and half Native American. He is allowed to make these comments.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, Ian McKellen is Gandalf. He's awesome.
I'll take all the Caucasian comments. You get to do that. Or we both can. We're not
He's
here.
Gandalf the White, Neil.
Gandalf the White. Well, he was Gandalf Mithrandir, which was his order. I think that was the thing that had to do with his order when he was Gandalf the Grey.
Mm-hmm. One thing I will say about Tolkien is he came up with all the cool names. Everything sounds fucking awesome. Even though, a lot of the things sound a little similar, he had all the cool fantasy names. Everything else seems just kind of lame afterwards, They're trying to, because he was a linguist and everything. He just everything is cool. Gandalf, Aragorn, Gollum, Schmeagol. Sounds like a little much like Smegma, but Schmeagol.
Maybe he was trying to figure out what to write. He was having some alone time with little Tolkien. And he's like, you know what? I got a name for this. It's hiding. It's in the dark. It smells bad. A little bit fishy. Maybe.
He likes it raw and wriggling.
I believe that is our first Smegma joke on the podcast. And I note the date and time, please.
22 minutes in.
All right, cool.
February 2nd. Yeah, we got Legolas and Theoden. Theoden and the Kingdom of Rohan. Pretty damn cool. Theoden
King.
I think I just saw that
your hands would know their strength if you held your sword.
Christopher Lee, awesome.
Bad. Can we just not just amazing actor, but apparently a legit badass.
Yeah.
In real life. So props to him.
Doing that ungentlemanly warfare shit in World War II.
Yeah. I wish I could think of the director. I was doing a deep dive, kind of like what you do. And some dude gets stabbed in the back and he was letting out this scream. And Christopher Lee goes over and he goes, actually, the sound a man makes when that happens is more like this. And then the director went, oh my fucking God, this guy knows. Because he's done it. And apparently he's a huge fan of this because I remember seeing an interview with him and he said he would reread the books every year.
Yep.
Huge fan.
And he met Tolkien. He's like one of the only people in the cast that met him and stuff like that. So he is just legit a badass. One of the best Draculas, one of the best Bond villains. He was in Howling 2, Your Sister's a Werewolf.
Sometimes you got to pay the bills, man.
I know. That's what I liked about him. He was in To the Devil a Daughter. He was also in The Devil Rides Out, which is my favorite Hammer horror movie, which I wish they would make in a modern setting, because it's just aristocrats and witchcraft fighting against the devil. Just perfect. I love that movie. Miranda Otto is Eowyn, her and her weird teeth. But I guess, they didn't have braces in Rohan.
Just
Yeah.
bits. Just bits.
Brad Dourif is Grima Wormtongue doing his Brad Dourif stuff. This is the second movie in a row with Brad Dourif. We did Blue Velvet last week. He was acting his ass off in this movie.
Oh yeah, he was so greasy and slimy and evil and just this gigantic conduit for this massive evil presence. Loving it.
So who would have thought a guy named Grima Wormtongue would not be a good guy?
Theoden King.
Carl Urban was pretty badass as Eomer. He's pretty good in everything. He was good in Dread.
Very, yeah. Oh, that was a good damn Dread. And The Boys, he's really good in The Boys. Billy Butcher.
Liv Tyler drags this movie down every time she's in it. Nothing against Liv Tyler. The breathy delivery of Arwen just every time the stupid elves are on and she's dying. She stays for you. And all, that kind of stuff. And
will she give an immortal life? Yes. You will fade, but she will not. Well, bitch, move on. You don't sit there and fucking stare at his grave. He's been dead for a couple hundred years now. But move on. You're immortal. You'll still look great.
You've got a long life to live. You'll find another ranger somewhere.
Snag yourself somebody else.
Yeah.
Find somebody else
for the living.
Find somebody else that digs that giant fucking overbite you have. All I can think of is Steven Tyler.
All right, do you want to hit us with a critical consensus? It's a little extensive, so.
Well, let us begin. On Rotten Tomatoes, The Two Towers holds an approval rating of 95% based on 260 reviews, with an average rating. Well, yeah, and 95%. With an average rating of 8.5 of 10, the website's critics' consensus reads, The Two Towers balances spectacular action with emotional storytelling, leaving audiences both wholly satisfied and eager for the final chapter. Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, has assigned the film a score of 87 out of 100 on 39 reviews, indicating universal acclaim. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A on an A+ to F scale, a grade up from the A- earned by the previous film. Like its predecessor, The Two Towers was released to universal critical acclaim and is widely considered to be one of the greatest sequels in cinema history. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times gave the film 3 stars out of 4, describing it as one of the most spectacular swashbucklers ever made, and stating it is not faithful to the spirit of Tolkien and misplaces much of the charm and whimsy of the books, but it stands on its own as a visionary thriller. But I don't think modern audiences would have dealt with the whimsy very well. I don't think that would have flown. Visionary thriller.
Yeah, like again, we don't need 30 minutes of Tom Bombadil and Goldberry and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Nev Pierce for the BBC gave the film 4 stars out of 5 and wrote that while it lacked the first film's wow factor, it surpassed the Fellowship of the Ring in terms of wit, action, and narrative drive. Pierce described Gollum as the first believable CG character and the Battle of Helm's Deep as one of the finest, most expansive combat sequences ever filmed. Writing for The Observer, Philippe French described The Two Towers as a stunning visual epic. French commended the battle scenes and the visual style of the film, relating it to the paintings of Caspar David Friedrich and the Pre-Raphaelites, Art Nouveau illustrations for the children's books and the apocalyptic biblical landscapes of the Victorian visionary John Martin. Fuck you.
I was going to say,
but what I've noticed, it's just one of those people. You sit down for dinner and then they drink the wine. Like, are you getting notes of cherry? I'm getting fucking notes of wine, mother. That's what I'm getting.
I know. I hear that. Pretentiousness.
Have you noticed the aftertaste of steak with the steak? Prick. He concluded the review looking forward to the release of the final chapter, writing, "This is likely to be happier, more decisive, and infinitely more satisfying than anything that will happen to our world in the next 12 months. Well, I do not want to party with this guy. I never... Joe Morgenstern for the Wall Street Journal lauded the narrative construction of the Two Towers. Elaborate preparations are required for the payoff in this installment. The massing of troops plus much individual struggle as splintered groups for the Fellowship make their separate ways towards the defining Battle of Helm's Deep. Yet these preparations count as payoffs too. Seldom has a popular entertainment set the stage so carefully or evocatively with such lavish respect for its audience. Morgenstern also highlighted the digital effects and the battle scenes and set of the series. The Lord of the Rings continues to stake its singular claim on movie history. It's a gift of epic proportions. In his review for the Evening Standard, Alexander Walker wrote, "The Battle of Helm's Deep was probably the greatest battle piece composed for the screen since Einstein's Ivan the Terrible, and that with the Two Towers, the trilogy had achieved a majestic proportion, chivalric and quixotic, earthly and magical, an experience that reaches beyond the dimensions of the cinema screen and somehow reflects the global unease of the world in the first years of the 21st century." And again, fuck that guy too. In his review for Newsweek, David Anson commended Jackson's direction of the battle scenes, writing, "Few people can stage a battle, and the eye-popping siege of Helm's Deep is one of the most spectacular you'll ever see, with such sweep and clarity that the carnage doesn't seem as oppressive an end in itself." Anson also praised the complexity of the character of Gollum, commenting, "While everyone else in Tolkien's myth falls neatly into the camps of good and evil, the self-lacerating Gollum is at war with himself. In an epic drenched in medievalism, he's the dangerously ambiguous voice of the modern." Carolyn Westbrook for Empire gave the film 5 stars out of 5 and wrote, "It may lack the first view thrill and natural dramatic shape of the Fellowship, but this is both funnier and darker than the first film, and certainly more action-packed, an essential component of what is now destined to be among the best film franchises of all time." Westbrook lauded Jackson's ability to temper the spectacular scenes with some heartstring-tugging moments. Peasants despondent as they are forced to abandon their villages, Aragorn and Arwen's troubled relationship, and of course the return of Gandalf. Sir Ian McKellen, superb as ever. One of the film's most powerful, memorable images that may well leave Ring devotees a little misty-eyed. A less enthusiastic review was written in The Guardian by Peter Bradshaw, who is well known by his friends to be a miserable sack of shit, who had already written a mixed review of The Fellowship of the Ring. Bradshaw gave The Two Towers 3 out of 5, appreciating it as very watchable, distinctive, if overextended FX spectacle. However, he commented that the film could not be taken as a serious evocation of good and evil and dismissed the subject as lots and lots of interminable, nerdish nonsense, as he has never read the book in his fucking life. The Battle of Helm's Deep has been named by CNN as one of the greatest screen battles of all time, while Gollum was named as the 3rd favorite computer-generated film character by Entertainment Weekly.
Who is better computer-generated character than Gollum, though, really? You know, I can't think of one who's like is believable. Maybe like the Caesar, also by Andy Serkis in Planet of the Apes, is this really good CG character, but the Gollum, it seems like the peak. Sure ain't Jar Jar, and ain't it's just a different level of CG character you give a crap about.
You said me taking you to Mordor. Me said take it to the Black Gates. It's
the funny
bad people walking into Mordor.
The funny thing about Peter Bradshaw that made me laugh is like, this guy is a film critic and he's calling other people nerds. That's like the nerdiest occupation of all time. An occupation I would desperately love to do, but it is fucking nerdy. Yeah.
That's like the guy working at the comic book shop dissing the guy who works at the game store next door. Look at those losers all gathered around their board with their painted figures. That is lame of the storyline from this comic book printed in 1963, which I have a first edition of.
Well, actually,
I felt my neck start to sprout beard hairs when you said that too.
Well, actually, yeah. I wrote in my notes, so we'll just say now that Sam and Frodo parts are the least interesting parts of the movie. I do enjoy Gollum, especially at the beginning when you see him, you know, for the first, because they teased him out in the Fellowship quite a bit. You only saw his eyes and his hands and stuff like that, but they immediately jump to Gollum when they capture him while he's trying to catch him when he's sleeping, and he looks awesome. and it's just the character, you actually believe it. He does a really good job. Andy Serkis is just a good. He's made for CG acting.
And yeah, he does a great job of it. I loved that he just fucking bought into it, because in every late night talk show, they're like, "Hey, you want to do Gollum? Hey, would you read this like Gollum?" He's like, "Oh hell yeah, let's go."
I do like how it just picks up immediately after, right in the middle of the Fellowship, when the Gandalf falls fighting the Balrog, and how it just kind of continues from that, and that freaking long ass fall, and he's fighting him, and the way the sounds, the sounds of the swords and the wind, in the air and stuff like that was really good.
You gotta fall all the way down, and then they fought their way all the way back up the stairs to the top of the highest peak. You think like Errol Flynn was able to like? You want to talk about the masked guy from The Princess Bride? You want to fucking fence with a Balrog all the way up that never-ending staircase to the top of the highest peak? Hello. Although it would have been great to see, because when the Balrog fell, it cracked the mountain in half.
Did not know that. I don't remember that.
I'm pretty sure. I'm saying this with all the confidence of someone who thinks they remember it. Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll find out.
So on Instagram, they show these people who watch all three movies and the extended cuts, and they eat food based on the movie, and they're having like, sausages and these pies and all this kind of stuff, like they have breakfast and second breakfast and elevensies and lunch and all that, all the way through watching it. And I'm just thinking to myself, I would spend half the time in the bathroom with all the food they're consuming. It all looks good and stuff, but just, that's, those hobbits have a very carb heavy meal.
I, oddly enough, call almost every one of my bowel movements Return of the King.
Return of the King?
Yeah, it's Return of the King.
Bowel movements in movie titles are always good. The Green Mile is...
Yeah, that's a good one. It totally is a good one.
There Will Be Blood is a
good You got one more. I know. I heard,
I'm trying
I heard it in the way you were breathing, because you almost said it and started laughing again. Come on, let it out. Let it go.
I'm trying to think.
You've got more in you. You know you do.
I know. I can't think it off the top of my head now. It escaped me. It'll come back to me.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm the worst poker face, or, everybody can tell when I'm about to say a joke, because I will like start chuckling to myself before I unleash the joke.
True.
I amuse myself to no end. Yeah. All right, Lembas bread. I've always wanted to have some of that Lembas bread. The stuff that's supposed to fill you up.
The longest yard.
The longest.
Children of the Corn.
That's a good one. Children of the Corn.
Oh shit. Oh, the exit wounds.
That's
okay.
Children of the Corn is still the best.
The Punisher.
Yeah, that's a good one.
True Grit. No. Okay. Children top with Children of the Corn. Okay.
Yeah, Children of the Corn. And the Green Mile and the Children of the Corn. We can't really top those. So.
Something's got to give. Oh, depending what you've eaten, could be the never-ending story. Deep Impact.
That's a good one. Deep Impact.
The Nutty Professor. Oh, A Mighty Wind. Max Payne. Oh my God. Everything Must Go. Cool. All right. Yeah. Last one.
Okay.
Black Snake Moan.
That's a good one.
Okay.
All right. Well, do the drums to signify the end of that bit. All right.
Let's go.
Right. So Sam sees through Gollum's shtick. You know what I mean? He knows something's up with Gollum, and immediately
meet the Browns.
Meet the Browns.
Oh, wait! Come on, the obvious one that we both missed. Splash.
That's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry. All right. He sees through Gollum's shit.
Yeah. He and Frodo's trying to show kindness to Gollum because he thinks he wants to believe that he can come back. But Sam, they should have gone with Sam. They just Stone Gollum's head.
And such a waste because like in the books, like a little bit of lambus bread would keep you full all day.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, what do we have? Lambus bread. More lambus bread. What's keeping me from starving, but I'm being a little bitch about? Lambus bread.
So, do you think that orcs know what a menu is?
Well, they may not know what a menu is, but they know that meat is back on it.
Meat is back on the menu. Meat's back on the menu, boys. Just eat his legs. You don't need those.
That would have been a great, great name for a porn. Meat's back on the menu, boys.
So I like okay, this is your first fake out death in the movie is when you see, you think that Merry or Pippin gets stomped by a horse, but that doesn't happen. It's many, many fake outs.
Can I be honest with you? I knew they didn't get killed.
Yeah. But that's why I don't like a fake out. You know, these people have amazing plot armor. Nobody's going to kill Aragorn. Nobody's going to.
You know what it reminds me of? When I forget the movie we watched, but when we walked, like Selena was showing, and when we walked out of the movie, there were those cholos, and they were looking at each other like, "I wouldn't have seen this if I'd have known Selena died." Yes.
Don't watch the news much, do you?
Yeah, I think we were both like, don't laugh in front of him. Just walk. Don't laugh in front of him. This is going to be bad.
So of course, Aragorn's a good. He must be part of Patchy because he's a good tracker. He's putting his ear to the ground and looking at all the tracks and stuff like that. He's good. He's a good tracker. I did say that Grima Wormtongue was on loan from the Trump administration. Nothing
going on here. Everything's great.
A valid question, Milage. Yeah. Gandalf the White. He upgraded his mount in this to Shadowfax.
That's whenever I call Shadowfax, I do it just like that, just like he did.
That was pretty good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like I said Grima is simping on Eowyn and her baby teeth because she does have little baby teeth. I do that part when they're like, they go the big four, Gandalf and Legolas, Aragorn, and Gimli all go to the hall in Rohan and go to talk to Theoden, and they say, you wouldn't take an old man's walking stick away. And then he
I love Grima's action though. Like, I told you to get the stick.
Take his staff, Jesus.
Like, do I have to do everything, guys? I'm already putting evil juju on Theoden. All you had to do was get the stick.
He's super simping on Eowyn though. He's like really, really wants her.
Well, dude, I mean, come on. He's headed back. If he comes from Isengard, it's just a bunch of dude orcs.
And a bunch of orcs being born out of the ground, just falling out of the earth. The Uruk-hai.
That was a confusing thing, was that he used goblin and orc kind of interchangeably in the books.
Yeah.
So that took kind of a bit to get a hold of. And then when you found out that they mostly just used to be elves that got tortured and like used magic on. Way to go, elves.
I always, in my mind, in my brain, in the movies, is that the goblins seem to be the ones that were in the Mines of Moria. They're more like bug-looking, primitive kind of things, but the orcs are more trollish kind of looking. Of course, the Uruk-hai are the more,
they're buff.
The buff ones, yeah.
And can just run all freaking day and all freaking night. Well, they got the protein because meat's back on the menu.
And they got that pre-workout going on.
You get this semi-orgasmic hand stamp of Sauron.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen those videos where people like do that to their dogs? They put the white hand of Sauron on their dogs and cats and stuff like that. Yeah.
What a bunch of nerds. Next thing they'll be sitting around talking about the damn movie. Okay, Warg Riders. Can we talk about Warg Riders?
Let's do it.
Okay.
What's the deal with Warg Riders?
Warg Riders. Why are they wargs? Why are they riding them? See, the bad guys always get like the coolest shit. Like good guys are just roaming around on horses.
Mhm.
Bad guys have giant, like fucked up orthodontic wolf creatures with bat noses that are going to come eat you. The Nazgul get to fly around on giant lizards.
Mhm.
The evil men have Oliphants. What do they have? We got a couple little short dudes that are kind of semi-jonesing for each other with a gold ring. And we got this guy who hasn't seen the sun in like 600 years who's got some issues.
Mhm.
That's it.
This little loincloth that he walks around with.
Must have been really cold in those caves.
Yeah, I think so. So then with the Warg Riders, you get another fake out death with Aragorn falling off into the water, and then a long scene with him and Arwen and just in her breathy delivery.
Their eternal love, and at least in the book he had like semi-mythical powers because his people were long lived and he had the blood of kings.
Yeah. I think they mentioned that in the one of the extended I think it's in the extended Two Towers when they talk about him, how he's like really like 100 years old or something something like that, and how old he really is.
I saw the joke in the notes. You may as well read it. I tried to set it up for it, but you didn't take it. You went right past it.
Which one was it?
Right after potatoes.
Potatoes. Look, it's Timothy Oliphant.
You didn't give yourself drums for that.
Oh, hold on. Here we go.
There we have it.
Mm-hmm.
That actually sticks. That line actually sticks. Not the Timothy Oliphant, but we'll be doing something, and my wife is like, "What are we going to have with it?" I'm like, "Potatoes." She goes, "Potatoes."
Mash them, fry them, put them in a stew.
I'll show you what to do with. I will show you what to do with a brace of conies. Just want him to do like some weird Lord of the Rings, Gordon Ramsay outside cooking shit. And
or Guy Fieri. What's this little hobbit doing cooking some rabbits? Serving them up on a shield. Yeah.
Okay, deep breath. Deep breath. We're getting there.
Yeah.
All right. So
the Galadriel exposition dump of her just talking about everything that's going on and keeping up. Then they, in the middle of the movie, they introduce the other tribe of human, or the other human characters, and they look so much like the Riders of Rohan that you don't really distinguish it unless you really know. Oh yeah, this is the people from from Minas Tirith. These are the other these are Boromir's brother Faramir, and the humans there, but that for a while when I think I can't remember who was like, they're like, who are these guys? Why are they here? Takes a little bit to get that.
They got their own issues with orcs that they've got to get worked out.
Yeah. I love when they finally get to Helm's Deep and they have the siege warfare. I love just, raising those ladders up with poles and just, orcs going over, and they got those elves showing up to help out and stuff. Overall, a pretty damn good battle scene.
Really, really good. I had a good buddy that really got stoked when they found out they were making these. And I saved the email and I looked at it before we watched this, because I'd asked him like, hey, they're making these movies because they were his favorite books. And his reply back was armies of orcs.
Yes.
That was every time I see that, it makes me a little bit happy. Pour one out for EP. Boop. Sorry, dude. Not here for this.
I love the berserker orcs, the Uruk Hai. They're just like, running with the torch to blow up the wall and jumping over first, they were going balls to the wall there.
And what happened to all the elves? Did all the elves get overrun? I did not see.
They got their asses kicked.
But the elves were the ones who kind of held it down for the humans during the first time they had little issues with Sauron.
Yeah.
So kind of made me wonder what maybe lost a step or two in a couple thousand years.
The Ents are awesome when they're in action, but otherwise, oh my god.
We have decided you are not orcs. I will share that one of my favorite parts of this movie is when that mother trucker whose head was on fire charges up and sticks it down in the river.
It dips it in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I like just the way they're attacking with the axes and stuff like that. There's just wave after, it's amazing. I think that is probably the best mix of CG and practical effects when they have the water sweeping into the Isengard, and there's like a big old wooden platform, and it starts to get turned over, and then you can see like the CG people on top of it, but it looks so good. It's like when I remember seeing that in the theater thinking, man, who the hell did that? I mean, that was really, really good craftsmanship, just that mixture of blending of CGI and practical.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, that was really
agreed. Cool. Yeah. And the at the end of the fifth day, look to the east.
Look
to the east. And that ride down, that was, and the pan back, I think that was great. Like, you can get away with having however many extras you have when you're doing those tight shots, but when that pan back to see all the riders of Rohan coming down, because when you see them fighting in Osgiliath, that's more like sort of like modern house to house warfare. These guys are like ducking behind stuff, but that one out on the field on the cavalry charge, they tried to capture that magic with the Hobbit movie, with the battle of the
five
armies, whatever the fuck it was. They tried to capture that again, but they I don't think they got even close. This the first time seeing those guys come down that hill with Gandalf right in the front. That was pretty good.
And using the sun to blind the orcs and a freaking steep ass hill. And there's this one shot of like this soldier swinging his sword, and you see this orc's head just pop off and roll in the in the air.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good shot. Good stuff. The like I said, the end dipping its head in the water. That's an awesome shot. I remember people just cheering in that part of the movie. That's awesome. When Faramir decides to let Frodo and Sam and Gollum go, Sam's monologuing about the stories and stuff like that. The sexual tension is high. It's your Sam. Attend to your virgin.
You're a little caught up on this aspect of the story. You keep coming back to it.
Just popped out. No pun intended. But Faramir shows that he's a good guy, sets him free, and that's when the movie ends and stuff. But I feel like Sam is just too humble, man. He's like, I couldn't have made it without you, and he's like, nah, doesn't make Sam a good character. But take a little credit for yourself, man. Frodo's a bitch.
I don't want to bury the lead, but Sam ends up winning in the end.
Yes, he does win in life. He did good.
And Frodo's got this, I've got a wound that won't heal, blah, 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 black blade, blah, blah, blah. He carries all this shit with him, blah, 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 blah. Sam goes back. He's like, Rosie. Mm-hmm.
Rosie Cotton, yeah.
He was picking cotton, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk about that when we watch the third one, but we've got to watch Dragon Slayer, which I pray lives up to my memory of it.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch it. I have not seen it in a long, long time. Some of these fantasy films, like I said, like you're talking about, some of them age better than others. Like when we watched The Sword and the Sorcerer last year, that one was just so awful, but good yet in the same way. It was shitty, but also pretty entertaining. Is Dragon Slayer on Disney Plus or Hulu?
You know what? Let me check my handy little app. I could have told you several weeks ago. Had we stayed on track, let's go. Now that
nope, looks like it's going to be a rental.
Dragon Slayer. Tubi. It's available on Tubi. Oh no, Dawn of the Dragon Slayer. Nope. The Sorcerer and his Apprentice Galen are a mission. Oh yeah, that's available on Apple. There's Goblin Slayer. You want to watch Goblin Slayer?
Yeah.
There's a There's a lot of Dragon Ball on here. Okay, well, rental. I'm okay with that.
Remember the movie The Hawk, the Slayer? That was
Yes.
really cheesy.
God, it was so bad. Lee, was it Lee? What was that dude's name? My mom liked him. Lee Horsley.
Oh, man, you're good. Yep. It has Jack Palance as Voltan. John Terry as Hawk. Yeah. 1980. That was when fantasy was just all over the place, man. You couldn't, there's a new fantasy movie released all the time. Then Dragon Slayer, Sword and the Sorcerer, Beastmaster, Red Sonja. We need to do Beastmaster again just because it's been, almost 4 years since we first did it. We should do like a revisit of Beastmaster sometime. Just like we revisited Enter the Revenge of the Ninja, or Enter the Ninja. We should do Conan and the Beastmaster just as a retrospective.
We should be doing Conan every year. Much like Christopher Lee was going back to Tolkien, we should be going back to Milius.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll put that on schedule. Cool. Well, that is Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. It is still pretty entertaining. I liked it quite a bit. There's some things that drag it down a little bit, but overall, it's good. It's a great movie. It's just really probably the best franchise. Those three movies are the best trilogy, I think, lately. And I feel bad because I'm out on Star Wars. That is the franchise that I feel like I've just lost all hope in, except for the first, the original three. But I've gone far away from caring about Star Wars.
The Mandalorian was good. Mandalorian was really good. They had a new one. I can't think of the name of it. I watched it, and it's one of those things that I want Star Wars to be my Star Wars, but they're making these films for a new generation of kids.
Yeah.
And we just watched this one, and I was like, "Oh, this is so childish. This is so." Oh, wait, but it's not made for me. It's made for me to watch and to remember what it was like to be a kid, but it's made for kids.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I have to be with that. So we'll have to see. Don't make me bust out my motorized extending lightsaber. I will. I'll do that, and I'll fight you. I have so many people irritated with me at work. They'll hear the beep, and then they'll hear that thing extend. I'm like, how are you going to be able to do your work with no left hand?
HR hasn't called yet.
You know what? I told a joke that was so good, HR asked me to come down and tell it to him in person.
Oh, nice. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. They knew how good that joke was. So there we have it.
Very cool. All right. If you want to hit us up, rvspodcast222@gmail.com. We're on the Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Blue Sky. And that's where we're at. I think Instagram is probably where you would find us the most at, though. The most real post.
Threads is a fucking hot mess.
Yeah.
I had such hope for it, but it's so bizarre.
And Blue Sky came out hot like it was going to be the new Twitter, but it has not. It's meh.
Should we start a Truth Social account?
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine the reviews we've already gotten? Could you imagine what we get after people tune in from there and start listening?
Oh, yeah. We would get definitely less than stellar reviews. So, all right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll hear you next week, or you'll hear us next week.
Yep. Jason, Jessica, good for you.
Yay.
Yay, good for you. I'd like, I don't know what either of you fucking said because Eric never shares, but hey, I hope you have a fantastic week. I hope everybody else out there has a fantastic week, even Dave.
Thank you for listening to the Retro Video Store Podcast.